Hi everybody. I'm going to school to become a medical assistant. I don't know if I mentioned this before in any of my other videos, but I decided to do a video about my project because I'm gonna have to present that to my class, and I guess that would be a good way to practice. So let's go. Okay, I'm gonna be talking about endometriosis because luckily my teacher let me do it, which is awesome. That way would be just one more way to put the word out there and also, let people know and hopefully get a good grade. So let's go. What it is endometriosis? Endometriosis is a condition where tissue similar to the lining of the uterus, which should only be located inside the uterus, it's found elsewhere in the body, like the ovaries, fallopian tubes, pelvis, bladder, and going on. What are the symptoms? The symptoms are painful periods, also known as dysmenorrhea, painful sex, dyspareunia, infertility. And when I say infertility, it's important to also say that it usually takes around 14 years to have the correct diagnosis. And why? Because sometimes like in my case, I used to go to the doctors and because I was having a lot of cramps, and all they did was say that I should bear with the pain because, it was part of being a woman. But the truth is, no, something was wrong. The way you experience pain is just a way that your body trying to tell you that something is wrong. So sometimes they only are able to find out that they have endometriosis because they try to get pregnant and they're not able to conceive. We have some other symptoms, which are pelvic pain, lower back pain, painful urination, pain during bowel movements, heavy bleeding during menstruation, fatigue, depression. It is also important to say that some women have no symptoms. What causes endometriosis? Nobody knows till today. Like the experts, all they know is that estrogen makes the condition a lot worse. So that's why they try to put in a birth control or some kind of hormonal therapy that has lower doses of estrogen to see if that will help. But we do have a couple theories, which I listed only two, just to have an idea. And the first theory would be the backflow of menstruation, also known as retrograde menstrual flow. It's when when you have your period, the menstruation, instead of going all the way out, it kind of goes backwards, and it kind of places its implants in other areas in the pelvic. And it could also be a genetic factor. In my case, I'm not sure because my mom does not have, my sister does not have, so I don't think it is genetic. How is endometriosis diagnosed? When you go to the doctor and you say that you experience some, pain and have bleeding and all of that, they're gonna do a pelvic exam. That will be the first thing. Of course, they cannot diagnose endometriosis through the pelvic exam, but that's just started. Sometimes they can feel a lump or something else, and that's when you go to have a ultrasound. At least that's what I did. And again, during the ultrasound, MRI or CT scan, they cannot diagnose endometriosis, but if you have a cyst on an ovary or something like that, they're gonna be able to see it and then treat you for that. The only way to know that you really have endometriosis is through the laparoscopy or laparotomy. The laparotomy was the way that they used to do back in the days, which I don't think nowadays anybody go through that anymore, because nowadays we have the laparoscopy, which is way modern. You don't have to open a big excision in your belly, just do through those little holes, just like in the picture. And the recuperation, it's a lot faster, and also the risk for having infection is a lot less, so that's really good. We have 4 stages of endometriosis. Stage number 1 is when you have, I tried to find a better picture, but that's the only one I could find it. So stage number 1, it's when you have like some implants, like here we just have a little bit over there. Stage 2, that's what I had. So it was like some endometriosis on top of the bladder. That's the bladder. Some outside the uterus wall, and also in other areas. Stage 3, it's when you have some adhesions, also endometriosis implants, and stage 4, endometriosis pretty much everywhere. How it is treated? As we all know, there is no cure for endometriosis, and I like to say yet, because hopefully one day, they will find a cure. So what can we do to make the symptoms less painful and all of that? We could take some non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, which is known as Aleve, Motrin, ibuprofen. Depending on your pain, that might be able to help. If not, you're gonna have to take some other drugs like Percocet or Vicodin. Birth control, that's usually what they do to see if you would start if you would start feeling better. Like in my case, I'm not allowed to have a period every month anymore, so I take the birth control for 3 months in a row, and then I stop, let it bleed, 3 more months, let it bleed. That's how I've been doing, and so far it's working really well for me. The hormone therapy, and I listed the name of only one drug, which is called Lupron. I've done some research on that, and I decided to not do it, to not go through it, because the Lupron gives you put yourself into a menopause stage, which the hot flashes, the moody changes, and also you can lose some bone density, so it is pretty bad. And the surgery. The surgery usually helps a lot, but sometimes you might have to have more than one. Like I even met this girl that has had like 10 surgeries and is still having endometriosis pain. So I don't know if that's if that's the best way to do it. Some food can help or trigger the problem. Like we should avoid foods that stuff. I mean, we should avoid having sugar, alcohol, wheat, and dairy, because those triggers the pain a lot. Support groups. The reason I put it there over here is because when I was diagnosed, they were the ones that helped me get through it, make through, every single day. The first one, it's one of my favorites. We are endo.org, because it's kind of a Facebook page. You have girls that have the problem, they understand you, so you can share information, and it's really important. I put a picture of Padma Lakshmi because she has had endometriosis, and she had, I think it was like 16 years or so for her to be diagnosed, but luckily she had the surgery, and after a couple of years, I would say, she had her daughter, which brings hope for all of us that have the problems. And to end this presentation, I'm gonna show some pictures. So that's the uterus right there, that's the bladder, and then here you can see better the endometriosis implants, and over here some scarring. And that's it. That's my project, and hopefully someday this will be just a blank page like from the past, that they will find a cure for it. Thank you.